Hello everyone. See, our chapter number 1 is finished. Now we have nothing to do in that chapter. Later on, we will do the revision of that chapter after completing the syllabus of pre-midterm. Then we will do few in-text questions on some topics where we are getting less question in the exercise, like organization of living cells. Later on we will do the in-text question based on these topics. Okay students? Now let's come to our next chapter, which we are going to start right now. Before that, let me ask some questions from you all. Just tell me one thing. See students, that we have categorized everything which is present around us as living and non-living on the basis of some properties. See, if the thing is respiring, if a particular thing is respiring, then we are considered it as living, and if it is not respiring, then we are not considering it as living, we are considering it as non-living. Similarly, a number of properties are there. Movement and locomotion are there, several characteristics are there, which is showing that why we are categorized a particular thing is living as well as in non-living category. Now, whatever the substance which is present around us, the non-living substances, we are categorizing them in two categories, whether they are metals or non-metals. See students, if we are right now, just observe your surroundings. See, you are sitting on a chair. Maybe that chair is made up of wood or it is made up of plastic. Similarly, maybe some door is lying in front of you. That door is made up of iron or aluminium. Similarly, almirah is lying in your room. That almirah may be metallic or wooden. So it means we can, whatever the things are present around us, we can categorize them in two categories, whether they are metals or non-metals. But to categorize them in metals or non-metals, we have to think broadly. We have to think about the properties which is present around us. So let's begin with our new chapter, that is chapter number 6, metals and non-metals. This is our lecture number 11. In last 10 lectures we have done the cell, chapter number 1. This is the second, the most important topic, and again this is the basic introduction about metals and non-metals which you people are studying in this class. Later on, the topic of metals and non-metals will become extended, will become broad. Right now you people are getting introduced with these topics. Clear everyone? Now students, as I told you that a number of substances present around us and we can categorize them in metals or non-metals by studying some properties. Before starting the chapter, let me recall some more things of your previous class which you have to know before going deep into this chapter. Yes, in our previous class we have studied about elements, compounds, matter. Yes, now what is matter? Think about it. See students, I think you all know the definition of matter, that is anything which occupies space and has mass. See, everything which is present around us is having some mass and is occupying some space. Maybe the space may be less or more, but yes, it is occupying some space, even the air. See, you are purchasing a packet of Lay's. You all know the packet of Lay's is filled with air. Have you ever noticed? 5 or 6 chips are lying inside the packet and rest of the part is occupied by the air. Okay, it means even the air is having some space and is occupying some space and has mass. Okay students, So it means that is the definition of matter. Now what are elements? When a particular substance is made up of same type of atoms. Atoms, again, the smallest unit of matter. Like cells, it is the smallest unit of the non-living substances. Clear, everyone? Now students, anything which is made up of same type of atoms, then it is known as elements. As you have studied in your 7th class about oxygen, about nitrogen, these all are gases and are made up of same type of elements, that is O2. Two oxygen atoms are combining together to form oxygen gas, that is an element. Again, two atoms of nitrogen are combining together to form nitrogen gas. Ozone, three atoms of oxygen are combining together to form ozone gas. Okay students, now let's come towards the compounds. When two or more atoms are combining together in a fixed proportion, then it is known as compounds. We have to know the value of fixed position in the definition of compound. See, if the quantity of the elements is not fixed, then that substance is not considered as compound, it is considered as mixture. Okay students, so water. In the formula of water, you all know that two hydrogen and one oxygen are combining together. Means it is very well declared that water contains two hydrogen atom and one oxygen atom, then it is considered as water. If the quantity of hydrogen or oxygen will get disturbed, then what will happen? It will not be a water anymore. Okay students? Now see, if two hydrogen and two oxygen will be there, then hydrogen peroxide, etc. and etc. Many more examples of compounds you have studied in your previous class. Now students, yes, now it is clear for you that everything which is present around us is made up of atoms, whether it is elements or compounds. Compounds are formed by combining the elements. Everything is made up of elements. Do you know how many elements are present around us in the universe? May I tell you? Yes, total number of elements present around us is 116. Among them, the naturally occurring elements are 92. In the number 116, 92 are naturally occurring and rest of the elements are artificially created on the earth. Now let's divide this 116 elements in the category of metals and non-metals. See, 18 are non-metals and 6 are metalloids. When the explanation of metals and non-metals will complete, I will tell you about metalloids also. See, 18 plus 6. Yes, 24. Except these 24, rest of them are metals in the number 116. So it means the number of metals are lying around us. In this chapter, we will study about physical properties of metals and non-metals, chemical properties of metals and non-metals, elements and their occurrence, how they are occurring, okay, uses of metals and non-metals, and then last, alloys. Later on we will understand, or we can say after the end of this chapter you can be able to answer all these questions. Clear everyone? Now starts with the physical properties of metals and non-metals. See, the first property is physical state. Physical state, do you know what is physical state? See, how you people are looking in the mirror. How you people, if I am going to observe you, then you have one nose, two eyes, two ear, a particular body shape. That is your physical appearance. So similarly, metals and non-metals are also having some physical state. Clear? Metals, generally solid at room temperature. See, have you ever observed iron, aluminium, copper? You people have found them in a solid state only. Have you ever seen liquid iron? No, it is not possible for us to see because it is not available near us. It is available in the core of the earth, the innermost layer of the earth. Okay, core area. Now, non-metals, generally soft solids at room temperature. See, they are generally soft solids. What do you understand by solid and soft solid? Solid means you can't able to cut them or break them, but non-metals you can break them because they are soft enough. Now, as I told you that you people are unable to get the liquid form of metals because it is not available easily. It is available in the core of the earth. And the next thing, we can find them in the industries or factories where the formation of different substances of metals are formed, where there you can see them, but it is not easy for us to go there. Now, melting and boiling point, the next property of metals and non-metals. See, metals are having a very high melting and boiling point. Why? See, all the utensils are made up of some metals. We are using them in our kitchen. Have you ever found while making the tea your vessel will become melted? No, you haven't observed, because it is not possible to melt the vessels on such a low temperature, because that temperature which is high enough for cooking or making the tea is very less for melting a metal. Clear? But non-metals have low melting and boiling point. Non-metals have low melting and boiling point. Let's discuss some example of non-metals. See, carbon is a non-metal. Bromine is a non-metal. Any other non-metal which you people are thinking? Yes, oxygen is a non-metal. Nitrogen is a non-metal. All the gases which is available are the non-metals. And this is an exceptional property of non-metals, that we can find some non-metals in gaseous form also. The metals which we can find in gaseous form are oxygen, hydrogen, argon, chlorine, nitrogen, helium, etc. These are the non-metals which we can find in the gaseous form only. Now, is there any metal which you can find in the liquid form? As you have already studied about a metal which you can find in the liquid form, yes, that is a mercury. But is there any non-metal? Yes, bromine is a non-metal. Remember this word, bromine. It can come in your exam, that bromine is a non-metal that exists as a liquid at room temperature. Clear, everyone? I think these properties are clear. 2 properties. Just remind the number of the properties. Here we have discussed about 2 properties only. Now, the next property will be luster. Yes, student, lustrous means shiny. The meaning of the word lustrous means shiny. Metals are lustrous, while non-metals are non-lustrous. Why? See, have you ever observed these metals? They are having a particular shine on their surface. This is the property of metals only. You will not be able to find the shining surface on non-metals or any other substance. Yes, now the next thing is density. Yes, metals have high density and non-metals have low density. Yes. Now, what is density? I think the definition of density is not clear to you. First of all, let's recall the definition of density which you have studied in your previous class. That is mass per unit volume. Mass per unit volume. See students, in your previous class, let's compare the to get the understanding of density properly, let's compare it with the speed. As you have studied this about the speed in time and motion chapter in your previous class, and I have explained you that what is speed. Speed is a derived unit. It is derived by two fundamental units. One is distance and the other one is time. Distance per unit time. See, we are unable to explain the speed if we don't know about the speed or the time. We have to know the value of these two things properly. Then only we are able to explain this derived unit, that is the speed. Again, come to the point, density. See students, in density, this is also a derived unit. Again, two units are forming the value of density, mass per unit volume. Mass is again one unit and volume is the another unit. See students, so it means this is also a unit which we have to understand it. We have to compare these two things, mass and the volume. Now let's compare the coin. Let's take a coin, example of a coin. If you are dropping the coin in a pond, then what will happen? Are you able to get that coin again? But if you are dropping a cloth, a hanky, that hanky will float on the surface of the water. Why? Because we are comparing the mass of the coin or hanky with the volume covered by it. See, coin is very small in size, and the water and the space which is occupied by the coin is very less. And when we are dropping the coin in the water, the space covered by the coin is very less, and the water replaced by that coin is also very less. That's why if we are comparing the mass, or we can say the weight of coin, and the water replaced by that coin is, in that case, the weight of coin is more. That's why heavy material will get settle at the bottom. That's why coin never swim. But in case of hanky is very less in weight, and the space occupied by the hanky is large enough. It means the water which is present in that area occupied by that hanky is large. That's why lighter particles float, hanky is floating. But just notice it, when hanky will become wet, it means the water is absorbed by that hanky. Then the weight of hanky will get increased and the surface area will get reduced, because hanky will shrink at that moment. That's why at that point the hanky will also settle at the bottom, because the space occupied by the hanky will become less and the weight of the water will get reduced, will get less, and the weight of the hanky will increase due to the absorption of water. That's why hanky will settle down. It means the objects which are settling down, which are not floating, are having high density. The density means having high mass in per unit volume. एक वॉल्यूम में जितना मास आ रहा है is more. That's why the density is more. that wet hanky is having more density and the coin is having more density. That's why they are not swimming. Now I think it is clear for you all the definition of density and the metals. You all know that if you are dropping, as we are taking the example of coin is made up of metals only, and if you are throwing a piece of metal in the water, that will never swim, means the density of metal is very high in comparison to non-metals. Non-metals have low density. Okay students, now the next property is brittleness and tensile strength. See, brittleness and tensile strength. Brittleness means it can break. See, I think you people have eaten that papad. If you are breaking them, it can break easily. They will never show any type of elasticity. They never show any type of strength. That's why we are considering them as brittle. Thus, the substance which never tolerate any type of strength, that are considered as brittle. See students, non-metals are brittle. It means they will break easily, and tensile strength means never break easily. We have to give a lot of energy or hits to break the metals, but even then it will be difficult to break them. See, if we are hitting a metal, then what will happen? Metal will get convert in changes its shape. It may expand, it may become thin, it may convert into sheets, but it is very difficult to break it. That's why the substance which is unbreakable, or we can say it takes a lot of energy to get break, that is having high tensile strength, and metals have high tensile strength while non-metals are brittle. They have low tensile strength. Clear? Now students, note down these questions as an in-text question in your classwork and write the answers of these questions by your own. Name the metal which is liquid at room temperature. Name the non-metal which is liquid at room temperature. Name the non-metal which is gaseous at room temperature. What is density? Name the metal which is very soft and can be cut with a knife. Although rest of the questions we have discussed in this video only, but this last question we haven't discussed. Let me tell you the answer of this question. It is also an example.